All right, let's try this again. Welcome to Tuesday Tips. It's been a very emotional week, and I went through an experience that I know none of us really want to go through, and that is packing up my mother-in-law's house after she passed away this spring. And so today we're going to talk about 7 things that I learned. And so hopefully some of the things that I learned will help you. I know this is a situation you never want to have to do, and I don't wish it upon anyone, but I just wanted to take what I've learned in my experience and help all of you to be able to maybe make that situation just a tad bit better. So again, my name is Pam Dunwald, one of your nurse advocates from Your Nurse Advocates Consulting, and this is Tuesday Tips. I am trying to record this live. I'm using a new format, so hopefully it is streaming live on our Facebook page as well as recording it. So I will post if we do have some technical glitches. I will be able to at least post the replay of this so you'll be able to see it in a day or so. So let's go ahead and get started. So my sister-in-law came in from out of town. And so my husband has 2 sisters. He does, his other sister had passed away a couple of years ago. But anyway, just taking this on. So there was family members, there were siblings, there was the in-laws, such as myself, my brother-in-law, grandchildren, grandchildren-in-laws. I mean, there was a large amount of people at one point in time going through all this stuff. And I can tell you it was it was a rough week. And for many reasons. I mean, it was an emotionally hard week going through all her things and the family heirlooms. It was frustrating at times. And most of the time it was very overwhelming. She had this one curio cabinet, beautiful, and she collected all these knickknacks. She collected those oil lamps, with the glass tops on them. And I mean, it took us almost 5 hours to go through one curio cabinet. And one of the reasons why it took so long is my mother-in-law, this is, the first tip that I learned. My mother-in-law was very good about writing notes. So we call them Easter eggs throughout the whole week. We never knew where she was going to have a little note stuck in the nooks and crannies of these things that we were going through. And the other thing that she did is that she labeled things with people's names on it that she wanted it to go to, or at some point in time they had expressed an interest or like to that particular object. So let's go ahead and let's go through the seven things that I learned. All right, number 1, be careful not to compare or judge others' grief when you don't know what goes on during that quiet alone time that they have with their thoughts and feelings. There was some a discontent amongst some of the family members that felt that, how could we box up these things? And, so soon, how can we do this? Don't we care that, my mother-in-law passed away. And so you don't know how people are grieving when you don't see them in their private moments, when they're alone with their thoughts and their feelings and what they're going through. So be careful not to judge. Number 2, if more than one person wants something, it goes on the estate sale. We're going to have an auction before the house is sold. So all these things are going to be put on the auction. So we decided that if more than one person wanted the object, it was going to go on the auction, and then everybody had a fair chance to get it. If they wanted to bid on it and they wanted it, they could get it. So that was our way of trying to deal with things that multiple people were asking for. Number 2, that was number 2, the estate sale. So number 3 is when we were talking about my mother-in-law labeling all the things and with the Easter eggs and the notes tucked away. And so I made a mental note to myself, ask the kids now if they have a strong attachment to something and start marking their names on it. All the, our kids, her grandkids were, they're saying, please don't make us go through all this with you. And so it was really kind of eye-opening. What can I do? What can we do? What can my husband, James, and I do to make this process easier on our kids when that time comes? So this was a lot of reason why I'm sharing this is those of us that have not gotten to that point yet, what can we do to make that easier process on our kids? Number 4, those that came and helped ended up with more. And not to say that in a mean way, oh, just because you came and helped, you get this extra trinket. No, that wasn't the case. It's just that when you're in all this stuff and people are there and someone say, oh, I really like that. If nobody wants that, I'll take that. Well, if everybody in the room says, oh, no, that's okay, well, then they would get it. But if you're not there, you didn't have that opportunity. Of course, you were going to get everything that you had your name on, and of course, you were going to get your fair share of things from all all the things that heirlooms and trinkets. But it just that was just a realization. It just those that were there ended up getting more. So not intentional, but just the way it turned out. Number 5. So decide ahead of time who's going to be the keeper of the photo albums, the scrapbooks, family genealogy. In my mother-in-law's case, she kept diaries since she started when she was 16 years old. And so my sister-in-law took the diaries, and she's actually going to be able to wants to do like a kind of a checkout, like a library system. So if you say the year that you want, you can check it out, and then she'll send it to them and write it down so we know where it is. And my mother-in-law left a note when it came to her diaries. She says, no fighting. I wrote what I was feeling. If you don't like it, that's tough, and no ripping out any pages. So she had the forethought to make notes about everything in any situation that might come up. So the diaries, again, is one of the things that my sister-in-law is going to handle. My husband, I love the genealogy. I love to do that. I'm on ancestry.com. I just find that very, very fascinating. So my husband and I volunteered to do the genealogy portion of it and keep that up. My sister-in-law is taking the photo album. So just trying to see who wants to be the keeper of these things. And we did talk about this ahead of time, and that makes things a lot easier because it's so overwhelming to begin with when you get in there. I mean, we spent a week with multiple people, at least 5 to 7 people at a time, working on boxing up the house in a whole entire week, and we still have maybe a room or two less than half the house to do. So don't think that you're going to get it done in a weekend or in a day, because that's not going to happen. Because every time you pick something and you look at it and you see what meant to them, and someone will say, well, well, I really want that, and someone else says, well, I really want that. And if it doesn't have a name on it, okay, then what do you do? How do you handle that? How do you try and be fair to everyone? So it really helps to have these discussions, ahead of time. And again, fortunately, my mother-in-law wrote some notes about who was to get certain pictures, things like this, and all the other things that she had. So number 6, packing up doesn't mean you miss that person. I'm sorry, packing up doesn't mean you don't miss the person and that you're not grieving. You are pushing forward with what has to be done. And that's the thing. I mean, we're working with the lawyer, the court system actually, sets dates as far as when the estate should be wrapped up and settled and things like that. So, I mean, it's not something that you can just sit on for a long period of time. Nobody wants to do it. Nobody was looking forward to doing it, but it was something that had to be done. So number 7, people struggle with things will never be the same. And in our case, it was in regard to family gatherings and holidays. So for my mother-in-law, that was Thanksgiving. Thanksgiving was always her thing, and going to miss that very much because a lot of the people in the family are hunters, and my husband and I hunt. So she always had Thanksgiving like at 6 o'clock in the evening when all the hunters were done, deer camp, I mean, and it's changed over the years, and there aren't as many hunters as there was, but the tradition stayed the same, is that we would have Thanksgiving meal at 6 in the evening after everyone was out of the woods and done hunting. So that's Thanksgiving, for our family is going to seem very, very different for a lot of reasons. And I did see there was a bonus. There was a number 8. I thought there were 7 things I learned, but we have one more I have added, and that is just in general, just, prepare for a lot of emotions to be shared. And I think the most important thing is when you're dealing with family members, a couple of times I'll be honest, a couple of times I had to walk away. I'm an in-law, in this situation, so I felt it necessary for me to just remove myself from a couple of animated conversations, we'll say, and just try and just sit back and try and look at it from their perspective. And I think the most important things is to remember that compassion and empathy, and compassion is just, having feelings for someone going through it, and empathy meaning, you're able to put yourself in their shoes and see it through their eyes. And that goes a long way in dealing with this type of situation. Some of the grandchildren were dealing with it, were having a real hard time with it, and they couldn't understand some things, but yet they couldn't understand that it was the loss of their parent and their aunts, uncle or mother. And so everybody grieves and everybody deals with loss in a different way. There's no right or wrong way, but we just have to try and understand that that people are just trying to process this the best, that they can. And so that's the big, I guess, takeaway in all of this is that you do just with every ounce of compassion you can muster up amongst your own feelings and your empathy. But yeah, I really, really, really appreciated all the notes, where the heirlooms came from, who gave them to them, what country they were from. All these types of things is very beneficial. So I'm starting to go through my things too and want to make notes on that. I think that will make it easier for our kids. And the same thing with who should get what. I'm now going to start asking my kids, okay, when I see them or when they're in the house, and just say, hey, I don't want to be a Debbie Downer, so to speak, or try and um have this heavy conversation. I just want to make the kids know, hey, if there's something that we have that you feel a strong attachment to, please let us know, because we'll put your name on that if no one else has expressed an interest. Different, all the kids are different. They have different likes, dislikes, different personalities. And so you never know what one thing, may mean to them. But at the same time, if it's going to mean that much to them, I want things to go, be in the right hands, because I know they'll be well cared for, when we're gone, and they will pass them on as well. So with that being said, and just if this is something that you might be struggling with, or your family is having to deal with this, and you're not sure, we do a lot of services as your nurse advocates. We do mediation. We can help the family, prepare and go through this. We have decluttering and downsizing experts that we have interviewed, and that are more than willing to help. That's their business, is they downsize and declutter seniors. So it's not, they know what it's like to have those emotional attachments to things, and how hard it is to part with some of those things. So if you're in this type of situation, or even just a downsizing or decluttering, say you have an aging parent that's moving into a senior community or assisted living, and they need to downsize. I mean, you could run into the same types of things, that we ran into with this. So don't hesitate to reach out for help. And during this week, we're going to be sharing some videos from our speakers on downsizing, decluttering, just to give you, while we're on this topic this week, just to try and give you as much information as we can to help you sort through this process, either now or in the future. So with that being said, we will see everybody soon at another Tuesday Tips. Take care, and we'll talk to you soon.